everyone. Good morning for me. Good afternoon, I think, for most of you. My name is Pierre Rougier. I'm live in New York as part of Fashion Futurum Forum. We're having a live session to discuss a vast topic, which is an invitation to dream. So I started a company called PR Consulting in New York 23 years ago. We specialize originally mainly in fashion public relations. At the time, it was a little old. It's a little old-fashioned now, but that's what we were. And we've built a company now in New York and in Paris that represents a lot of fashion designers. Among them, Raf Simons or Dries Van Noten or Marine Serre and many others. We've been working with Nicolas Gesquière for now 20 years in various houses. So, but we can discuss that later. I would like for each of you to introduce yourselves, and then we'll start a conversation where I think you're going to ask questions and we'll make it lively. So I'm going to start on my screen with Timo. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us all today. My name is Timo and I'm a visual artist. I'm based here in Germany, in Munich. And yeah, you may know me for my collaborations with brands such as Valentino, Burberry, or Zara. And yeah, I'm mainly posting my work on Instagram, but I also started an agency called The Kates. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Siddharth, sorry. We can't hear you. Siddharth, we can't hear you. Shall I go to Paola, maybe, and then see with Siddhartha the sound?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm Paola, and I'm a digital and 3D artist. I'm currently based in Italy. I work both exhibiting my art globally, but also I work for more commercial projects on commissions. Yes.
Florentina?
Hello, my name is Florentina Leitner. I just graduated from the Antwerp Royal Academy of Fine Arts after I got a job first as a women's wear designer at Dries Van Noten, where I now recently quit because I want to focus on starting up my own brand because I got a lot of buyers from several shops coming in and want to focus now mainly on that. So, yeah.
Alexander?
Hi everyone, my name is Alex. My cousin and I, we created our, fashion little brand in 2016, and we're still on. Yeah, happy for us. So
bravo for that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, we are focusing on, minimalism actually, and we try to, to introduce something fresh in our cold Russian winter. Thank you.
Okay, and then Paula?
Hi everyone, thank you. So my name is Paula Ulari and I'm a 22 years old fashion designer from Madrid. As Florentina, I have just graduated from university. But these past years, I've been more investigating sustainable textiles, and the past collection that I worked, that is like the main collection, I created pieces where nature grow into the textiles, and with that collection, I've been published in many magazines as Forbes and others, and right now I'm leading a research project here in Madrid with a group of designers also to create innovative sustainable textiles.
Okay, well, thank you all for being here. So I think maybe we start with a question from one of you, and then we have a conversation, right? Siddharth, do you have volume now? Do you have sound? Sorry, I forgot you. Sorry.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Oh, there you go. Yes.
Hi, so nice to meet you, everyone, and sorry for the interruption. I'm Siddharth from New Delhi, India, and I work for a sustainable brand, which mainly are revolve around a lot of upcycling, recycling, and craft mainly. So my philosophy is mainly to have enough things around you to create something, and maybe we can go back to something pure in future. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks.
Okay. So since you closed, now you're going to open, Siddharth. What's your question? Do you have a question for me that I can answer? And then we're going to start that way.
Yeah. So as all our brands are coming from different countries, how do we approach international platform, or let's say, how to get recognized globally within, within going through a traditional way? Like, what are the process of getting into global PR?
Yeah, we go right into a very large question, obviously. It's complicated. I think the beauty of the time we live in is that you can actually do it. Local has become global and vice versa. So the difference from many years ago from the traditional system is you have at your fingertips a lot of opportunities to communicate with the world. I think the two things I can say which always work is be singular, do something that really, really sets you apart, where you live, that really represents what you do, where you are, for a community that's close to you, because a community that's close to you is a community that's going to be able to expand your network globally. And I think that's something that, is really, I think, to me, fascinating now, is when you can, from New Delhi, from Moscow, from Madrid, from wherever you are, if you start by addressing really your community, your peers, wherever you are, and you have to identify them because you have usually a singular voice, and that singular voice is usually heard by first people around you. Those people around you are going to expand the circle. I think it's a little bit like an old-fashioned way, but now you have a global network called, we know what it's called. Yeah. We know what they're called. Yeah. But I really think that first stick to who you are, where you are. Really, don't start thinking about, is it going to resonate on the other side of the world? You cannot start thinking too much about this. I think you're much better served thinking about what informs who you are, what you do locally, and talk to the people who are similar to you. These people have networks. These networks grow. And I think it usually reaches someone, who will have a larger voice and will put you on a larger platform, and so on it goes. Usually when I started the work I do, you were desperate to get like one fashion editor's attention somehow, one way or another. Now, everybody is a fashion editor pretty much. So, but really just stick to what really makes you who you are, where you are. That's to me the key of being an interesting voice that the rest of the world will want to hear. Because, fashion is looking for a way to express also diversity, and this diversity comes from voices that express themselves from where they are. So I think it's a very important way to do it. I think, Florentina, you have a question, or you wanted to add something? Yes.
Yeah, about this topic of that you need to start where you are. Nowadays, we have like all these platforms like Instagram, where you already can see your statistics and where your audience is. And what would you recommend when your audience, for example, I'm from Vienna, Austria, actually. I moved now to Antwerp, and I saw my main audience is actually in England, London. So what do you think? Do you recommend like young designers to move to a bigger city? Because I always have the feeling like everyone is like pushing young designers, you need to move to bigger cities like New York, London, Paris. But I feel also quite comfortable in Antwerp at the moment, and especially with like this whole pandemic situation going on. I don't feel ready to move yet, but I also see that my audience is more in different cities. So I thought it fits with this global question. So what are your thoughts about it?
I mean, I'm going to go very basic. You have various examples, in the cities where you come from. Vienna, we have at least one designer that stands out that came from Vienna, and
Helmut Lang.
Helmut,
yeah.
Obviously, and then Antwerp is not a bad place either to start, a fashion platform. We have a few of those in Antwerp. So, going back and most of the designers from Antwerp have stayed in Antwerp, except for those who took contracts around the world for, other houses. I think more and more, if your audience is in London, that doesn't mean you have to be in London. You can cater to or talk to an audience in London and express, yourself to them via all the social media platforms that are available to you. I think what you can do also, and I think that's really important, is have a dialogue with the communities that are over there, and then start forming a dialogue with them where they can disseminate their vision of where you are. I think there's a network of creatives that you can reach through the communities that are local to your audience, whether they are in Antwerp, if you live in Antwerp, or in London, even if you're based in Antwerp. And I think I see, and it's certainly not new to all of you, but to me, I think it being more and more a way of spreading your message or your vision is you have a community of creative people. And if you let them, where your community is, if you let them take a hold of your work, play with it, work with it, allow it, then it grows that way as well. And that's the beauty of social media, with all the horror of it. There's a lot of beauty to it. Is you can find in London, look at all these people that probably follow your work or are interested in your work, see their work, look at their work if there's creative people, talk to them, engage with them, have them do something with you, and then you create that network over there. And then you're part of a creative network as well as just not just an audience. Does that make sense? I don't know. You guys know probably more than I do. Yeah.
No, totally. I have now a PR agency in London who's making then kind of my shoots there, and that's also probably why my audience is there also bigger at the moment.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yes.
that would prove that a PR agency can be useful sometimes. That's good.
Exactly. And then sorry if someone else wants to ask now something, but you can go forward. But one more question would be for you, because as you're having this great PR agency, what is something when you see new designers which are applying for your agency, what is something that catches your eye? What is something that makes you, what convinces you to take them into your PR?
I think it goes back to what I was telling Siddharth earlier. I think I started working very early in fashion, a little randomly, but somehow with designers or houses that had a very, very, very strong identity. I worked with, first of all, a house of Hermès, which, was not a fashion house, but, and then I worked with Yohji Yamamoto in the 80s, and I worked with Martin Margiela when he started. So that shaped, because I didn't have such an informed vision on fashion, that shaped my vision on fashion, which was that, fashion houses and the aesthetics that they put out to the world or to the outside are a little world onto themselves, and which is an identity that is theirs, and theirs truly, and theirs deeply. And, when you work with Yohji Yamamoto, especially at the time, you were not really, let's put it this way, you were not exactly allowed to wear a, printed flower shirt, unless, Yohji had decided that a printed flower shirt was acceptable that season, but you were pretty much in black, and you wore a white shirt, and that was that, so there was that was the aesthetic, but then everything that was behind it was completely driven by that vision, that there was a way to present yourself to the world that informed a lot of, things about yourself. So I come from that, and when I see, a designer or a house, and I shouldn't say I, because I have partners. I have my partner here, Sylvie Piquet-Damem, who has the same background as mine, and a partner in Paris called Nathalie Ours, who worked for Yohji Yamamoto for 18 years. So we all have that same kind of way of looking at it. It's like, is there a kind of world that house, that vision, that creative person carries with themselves, that we can easily plug into some communication tools? You know, if you have to invent the whole thing, that's a different proposition, and we can do that as well, but that's called a branding exercise on a product. If you have someone that comes to you as a designer or as a creative person, then you have to see how that vision can easily, you know, automatically, I don't know, edit what works and what doesn't work for it. You know, when I worked with Martin Margiela at that time, or when you work with Nicolas Gesquière, or there are things, their world, their vision is so clear or so powerful that things come to you as a PR agency or as a media relation agency, and you very quickly see, no, obviously not. You know, and that kind of like for us informs a little bit how we see an identity, a very strong point of view, etc. So it's a little vague as an answer, but because it's not just a matter of taste. You know, if it was only, you know, what me and the partners in the agency or the senior people in the show or the junior people in the agency for that matter, what we like to wear or not, then that would limit very much, you know, what we can do. So there has to be more than that, and it is usually some sort of a feeling that there's a world there, there's a universe or a little universe that travels with that person or with this group of people or with that, you know, vision. So it's a little vague, but that's what I can say. So Siddharth, I go back to your answer, to your question. It really is something that has to inform who you are, where you are, and that's really, to me, the basis of everything.
Okay.
I'm gonna go, I can't remember the order in which I started. So Paola, you want to start to ask a question?
Yes, so my question would be from a very, I'm a freelancer, a digital artist. I make digital models as well for the fashion industry. And so my question would be from my perspective, because often young, like recent graduates, young artists and freelancers like myself are very trend aware and even cutting edge often, but it's hard for us to catch the attention of big brands. And you obviously work for a lot of them. And I would like to know how, if you see that in future, the process of these big brands working with like individuals like us would be more easier, more fluid, and also more inclusive, because usually like the fashion world feels very exclusive even with who brands work with. So I wonder if soon this will change a bit.
I think, okay, my answer might be more wishful thinking than a manifestation of the truth or the reality. But I think what's happening is, and if you want to talk about the big brands, I guess you talk about the mammoth, the big, like, you know, with a lot of means and a lot of firepower. I think the world has forced those brands to be way more inclusive of the voices to or the expression of the countries, the communities, the people they're trying to talk to, and by talk to I mean sell something to. Huh? We're all clear. So, but I think, and I think this is opening the door for absolutely a lot of opportunities for young, creative, new talents to make their way in. Because there is a thirst for in all those houses, in all this, like, and small and big, but in those the large brands have a thirst for local voices, real voices that represent a certain community creatively, not just writing but creatively, that have offers and that can have propositions that are interesting to them. So, but again, the way usually you catch the attention of a lot of larger brands is through the work you do with smaller brands. It's always the same thing, is, you know, because very often a small brand has less constraints and has a clearer, very much more direct kind of, you know, creative impact. They have less to contend with. So that's usually why big brands look at the smaller brands, because there's something there that you can express there that you can express through a larger brands. But so that's to me the way in is continue with your local community and the ones that are yours and that are friends and that, you know, allow you to have a clearer, less polluted, you know, expression of your vision, because less constraints, less commercial constraints, less, you know, ethical constraints in terms of what the ethos of the brand itself is, etc. So I would be, you know, that's your way in. But yeah, there's a way in. Timo, you want to go? Sorry, I'm talking too much, so we're gonna have to go ahead, Timo.
Yeah, actually, when I did my research about you, all the names come up. The most powerful specialist in PR and things like this. So I'm wondering, actually, my question is very personal. Let's assume you could go back in time to when you're 20 or even 25. What would you give yourself as an advice? What would you do different, or what's the advice?
Hello.
I don't think too much of what I would do different, because I can't do anything different. But I would just say, you know, don't trust your instinct. That's what I would say. Trust your instinct. Your instincts are usually right. If you listen to, if you can have a clear voice into yourself or a clear ear into your inner voice, your instincts are usually right. That's what I would tell myself, and I would tell to everyone. Does that answer your question? Yeah. All right. Alexander, you want to ask a question?
Yes, I would like to ask you, we're all talking about the local market that we have to focus on right now, mm-hmm. you know, after post-COVID time, and because this market is more important to us right now than global, right? Because our customer is near you, right? Then, mm-hmm. you know, in the other country or city. And that's why, and now I would like to ask you about how to make our best to find, you know, some investment or finance or this kind of stuff. Money, it's all about money to collect something, you know. You have to have money to do this, to deliver to the customer, to sell it at the end of this. So my question is, what's the, you know, several ways to find this investment?
Ooh.
I know it's kind of big, but just, you know, couple words about
that is not really my strong suit, I must say. I've been known to be the one who, you know, tells them how to spend the money more than how to. No, I mean, I'm joking. That's usually how media agencies are perceived. Oh, they're just like, you know, want to spend money. I don't know. I think there's so many scenarios. I think it's, again, stand out where you are, stand out in your community. And when I say, you know, to go back and to Florentina's, you know, when I say your community, maybe it's not local, but it's the community that locally is following you on your social media, if it's not geographically local. So I think that's really your best opportunity, because somewhere in there's going to be someone who looks and says like, wow, this is a powerful voice there So someone's going to come and look, and hopefully someone will want to penetrate with you this community, or you will be a vehicle to something and they want to invest. That's usually I go back to really focusing on what's at your fingertip and your grasp, and then hopefully the financing part is such a crapshoot.
Sorry.
No. It's listen. It's the basic question of how you keep it going. Huh? I have one. Paula, you have one question. I haven't had a chance to ask you a question. Paula, you want? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on. Okay, it was more also a curiosity, in fact, because in my case, for example, sustainability is like the main value of what I try to create and design. And knowing that you have worked for such powerful brands, would you say that sustainability is truly being taken into account these days, that there's a change, or that maybe there's some brands that are actually starting to implement sustainability as part of their brand image?
I'm going to tell you something about sustainability, which I think is really something that I'm discovering more and more. Whether big brands, big companies, believe it or not, it's grown out of something similar to activism, right? So, and the big brands, whether they believe it or not, if the voice is loud enough and it affects the customer enough, they'll do it. So my answer to this is, don't question the motives, whether they want to do it or not. Just make sure, because you're the generation that's going to push it, make sure that your voice is loud enough about how important it is to you that those brands can't ignore it. That's the only true way of getting in there. And the brands are listening, trust me. All the big groups, all the big brands, they're listening, they're doing it, they're making the effort, but usually because they're like, it's good for business, and there's nothing wrong with that, I think, but you are the voices that can make this go through. Be loud about it. It's activism, and I discover the power of this more and more. Is activism drives a lot of the causes that we're seeing around the world right now, and that's one of them. And I think that's how it's going to get in.
I'm so happy to hear that, because actually they have also the power to make it louder.
Yeah, but the power is it starts with you. Be a loud enough voice that they can ignore it. Then they will be the megaphone. They will amplify it because they will have to. Otherwise, they'll be like, we have to. Even if they don't truly believe in it, it doesn't matter. Just don't question that. It's a waste of energy. Just keep going forward and speak and push. And don't compromise on it. I think we have only a couple of minutes left. Each of you, Florentina, you wanted to say something, sorry.
No, I just wanted to tell to Alexander about your question with the financing. There's an amazing talk from BOF founder Imran Ahmed.
Oh yeah, he's good at that. Yeah.
And you can listen to that. I listened to it yesterday, and he's really explaining how to get fundings. And the best way is to win competitions. But that's also a question for you. I wanted to ask what do you think about all those competitions like LVMH, and if they're like continuing, because now after this pandemic, or when Corona started, they canceled, for example, already the student applications. And also now, so far, I didn't get any news if they will do it the coming years.
I do not know. So I don't have the answer to this, but yeah, those competitions are very important. I think we have a minute left. I wanted you to each of you say what was your dream. Siddharth, you want to say something?
Yeah, so there's one question I wanted to ask. We have PR agency for media coverage globally or nationally, but are there any agencies who helps you with increasing your sales or something like that?
Oh, that I don't know. I don't know. But Siddharth, I think we have to go. No, it's. I think unfortunately that's the end of the session. But I invite you. You have my email, so send me an email if we haven't had a chance. And I still want to hear what your dream was. So, or what your dream is. So send me
email the dreams. Yeah.
Yes, please do. And everybody, thank you so much. I think we have 30 seconds left is what I'm being told. So we're gonna go and. Hopefully it was interesting enough or informative enough for all of you and other people who might have been listening in. But thank you. It was great for me. I always love to hear what
Thank you so
matters
much.
to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Very, very much.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's keep it going offline.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.